Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. Now fairly recently I got myself a new GPU, a new graphics card essentially, 5060 Ti 16GB, which was all well and good. It gave me improvements in flight sim and in games across the board, and even to some extent in VR. I'll come back to that point in a moment. But I was basically running, I do use that word a lot now, rocking, sorry. I was running also a CPU that was very middling. Good budget CPU, but it is typically just a budget CPU, the Ryzen 5500. And it was really bottlenecking my graphics card. And so I thought to myself, okay, it's time to upgrade my CPU. So I went out and bought myself, or I ordered and got now installed, a 5700 X3D. It's well known to be the best of the best for the AM4 series of motherboards. It's basically the previous generation of motherboards. I didn't want to go out at this time and buy myself a new motherboard, new memory, new RAM, and then a new CPU on top of it. I didn't want to spend that much money. I saw quite a few videos on the 5700 X3D, and I thought, you know, and I was also advised by a couple of professionals as well, actually the company I bought the PC off in the first place, and even Pimax, to upgrade to the 5700 X3D to really get the best of the best, and even the best of VR with my system. So I did that. Is it worth it in 2025, late 2025, to upgrade to the 5700 X3D? Well, I'm going to try and answer that question for you in this video. So let's not dilly-dally. Let's get on with this video. Okay, so flying around what is now typically my testbed, New York City, simply because of all the buildings and all that malarkey, a lot going on, I've got developer mode on, and I've got my frames showing in, let me just straighten my aircraft, in the top right there. So as you can see, it's about 50 to 60 frames I'm recording, so add a couple more on top. Well, this is just with TAA anti-aliasing, so no frame gen, no DLSS, it's just pure bare-boned TAA anti-aliasing with a lot of settings turned up, including terrain level of detail. Let me just show you that. So if we go to settings, 1440p as well, of course, 1440p, render scaling is 100%. TAA, no frame gen, no DLSS. If I go to custom there, I've got my terrain level of detail turned up to 100. Typically with my other CPU, I turn that down to maybe 75 to 80, because otherwise it would cause me issues. So I could turn this up. This is not final. I'm still playing with these settings. Lots of things on high, ultra for the clouds. Some things on medium. There you go. Some things on low, like aircraft traffic quantity. I don't want aircraft all over the place. So there you go. That's what I'm flying. Or that's what I'm rocking at the moment. My current settings. Typically that frame count is what I was getting with my other CPU, with a few of those settings turned down just to smoothen things out without frame gen. You know what? Touch wood. So far, these settings, I don't need frame gen or DLSS. I don't need 100 frames and goodness knows what. I'll show you frame gen in a moment, just what that can do. But I don't actually need it. without frame gen or DLSS 1440p, it feels smooth, very responsive as I'm looking around and goodness knows what, jumping in and out of the cockpit. Very smooth. Don't seem to be getting many stutters at the moment. That can change any second with Flight Sim. Yeah, that feels fantastic, I've got to say. I do like that. And I think that's probably the 3D cache of the processor. The 5700X3D does have a 3D cache. And I was advised to get this processor for that, to really bump my, you know, to get the full performance out of my motherboard and system. This is pretty much the best I can get at the moment. And yeah, that seems to work. So that seems to work well. Just show you, just for reference, let's just put frame gen on. We can put it on 3x, why not? It's typically what I was using before. Frames are going to go over 100, let them settle. You're meant to restart Flight Sim when you do that. So yeah, not surprising the frames have gone up, but I don't know, it feels less responsive. And that's what frame gen can do. Not so much in Flight Sims, in other games as well. In Flight Sims you don't notice it as much. I actually prefer, yes, I'm getting over 100 FPS. Yay! I actually prefer it off for the moment. I have to see what it's like when I'm streaming, and goodness knows what. Yeah, if I wasn't recording now, that's typically over 60 frames, in fact, when not recording. Something like 64 frames, which is absolutely fine in an area like New York. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And I can probably push that terrain level of detail further with this processor. This is not really where I'm finding the benefits. I knew it would improve things, the processor, just running it on flat screen. I wanted to see what benefits it would give me in VR. Let me show you that. With my Pimax Crystal Light, let me show you now what I can do with VR with this new processor installed. So first, VR performance in Flight Sim 2020. Now I captured this with each eye, so I'm showing my left and right eye rather than full screen. I'll show you full screen VR for Flight Sim 2024. I captured that in full screen mode. Doesn't really matter about the capture, and there's no sound recording, so I'm just playing music in the background. It's the performance. I'm flying around London, medium VR settings, with the Pimax Crystal Light. With the gazillions of resolution, not gazillions, but thousands of resolutions per eye. The Pimax Crystal Light's one of the high-end VR headsets with one of the highest resolutions. Yet here, because of my new CPU, the 5700X3D, I'm able to fly around London with little issues. No stutter in Flight Sim 2020 that I've encountered. I didn't capture my frames in this shot, but it's roughly mid-30s to 40 frames a second. Very smooth. Of course, looks incredible in the Pimax Crystal Light. And I would never have imagined that I could fly around a high-tin, dense city like London in the Pimax Crystal Light with my system. Yet thanks to the CPU, I'm able to do so. And I've got to say, I get the best performance out of Flight Sim 2020 in terms of frames and smoothness at the moment. But let me just show you some Flight Sim 2024 VR footage. So here we go, Flight Sim 2024 VR footage around New York. Possibly the most dense area, you've heard me say that before, in the sim in terms of building and complexity. Yet here I am, as you can see I've captured this in full screen mode, in the Pimax Crystal Light flying around New York. Now I've even managed to capture my frames there. Without recording, I'm getting around New York a consistent 30 frames. Because I'm recording, it's knocking a few frames off there. But without recording, yeah, typically around 30 frames, more than enough in VR. It's more about the smooth performance. And typically, I'm getting a very smooth performance in VR in Flight Sim 2024. I get the odd stutter as new areas load in. That's a Flight Sim 2024 thing. But in the main, very smooth. Can you look at it? New York City in the Pimax Crystal Light. And it's all thanks to that super CPU, the 5700 X3D. I was absolutely blown away that I could do this around New York City. Now it's possible. Well, listen, let me take you to my conclusion and recommendations. So there you go, my friends. Those are the results that the 5700 X3D has given me, and the performance it's given me, particularly in VR. I am over the moon with it so far. Is it worth it? Is it worth it if you're running an AM4 motherboard to get this processor? Really depends on what CPU you have. If you have something like me, 5500, you don't want to go and buy a new motherboard, new RAM, new memory, and then a new processor on top, spending roughly probably somewhere in the region of £500 or $500. You don't want to do that yet. You haven't got the budget or the stomach to do that. I certainly have not at the moment. And yeah, I would say if you're running something like 5500, maybe even a 5600, you are going to see improvements, particularly in VR. I've really noticed it in VR. It's early days for me with this processor yet, and I'm wondering how much more performance I can squeeze out of it. Even in flat screen mode, I'm seeing performance increases and improvements, not just in Flight Sim, in other games as well. So yeah, I would say if you're running something like a 5700X, so without the 3D, or 5800X maybe, I'm not so sure how much more performance you're going to squeeze out of your gaming PC if you own already a good CPU. But certainly, if you're running anything within the region of the 5500 or below that, you are definitely going to see improvements. And for that reason alone, I can recommend that you go out and hunt down a 5700 X3D. I'm going to put down in the description the place I got it from. It was okay from me. I did need a new cooler, and just be aware you want a cooler that can cool adequately the 5700 X3D. Bear with me, I'm just reaching under my desk to get hold of my cooler. I got the Peerless Assassin 120 SE. A bit of a pain to install. I had to watch a YouTube tutorial video to install that cooler, but it's a well-known cooler, in fact, the Assassin series. And yet, so far, it seems to be doing the trick and keeping my system cool. Or keeping my CPU cool, at least. Am I going to make it over that one? Ooh. I cut it close. So there you go. Recommendation. Let me know your thoughts. Are you looking? Do you have an AM4 motherboard? Are you looking to upgrade? Has this convinced you? Have you got a 5700 X3D yourself? Let us know your performances down below in the comments. Give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.